here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. I'm going to show something different again today. And I guess before I do that, I'll just kind of talk about some things I'm planning on doing, like, since I've done like part 1 of the posters and part 1 of the 7-inch singles, part 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, hopefully will be coming in the near future. Because I hate it when I do something and I don't finish it, which I have a pretty long history of that with the blog. I mean, I certainly, if you've never read the blog before, allmediareviews.blogspot.com, there's a lot of stuff I did finish, including many albums of the year lists and stuff like that. But there were definitely some, I had plans, I never got around to finishing stuff. But anyway, today I wanted to talk about, amongst the whole thing of, well, okay, the second idea is, I started using Discogs.com. So I've used RateYourMusic.com, a great website for primarily, I would say, cataloging your collection and or looking for new music. Those are the biggest things. And then, of course, rating it. Quote unquote, rate your music. You take music, albums specifically, singles, but albums mainly. And then they've done movies too. They never got around to doing television shows, unfortunately. And they give you give your personal rating as the title of it, and it's nice to look at that kind of stuff, to look at what certain albums are rated at per se. So, but there's Discogs.com, and that Rate Your Music launched in, I think it was like 99, 2000, around that time, maybe 2001. Discogs.com, I think, launched around the same time. And they've always, I don't know if they've been like rival sites per se exactly. I never used Discogs other than in the last maybe 5 to 10 years. I've used it a little bit to try to find stuff to buy. In fact, going back when I looked for certain stuff, certain rare items, back into the 2000s especially, that was one of about 5 sites I would go to, and a lot of them were linked on Rate Your Music. So, but a lot of people do is go on to Discogs.com and track what version they have, especially of vinyl, but of CDs too, because there's so many different versions or issues of certain releases. You know, it's like 121 versions of, you know, Queen's Night at the Opera, whatever. You know, there's just so many of them, and it's kind of meticulous, and it takes some time and effort and organization. But the cool thing that I don't know how recently they did on Discogs.com is they will take your collection and give you what's known as a collection value or an appraisal, really to know like how much money your collection is worth per se, and it's an estimation. So I've started to do that. I've used Rate Your Music for almost 15 years now, but like with my collection, 90% of it's probably in there. Not all of it's on there, but a lot of stuff, a lot of like CDs and stuff like that I probably never end up putting on there. But so Discogs, I've put on a couple hundred now, and so it's interesting to see the values. Really what I think it's based on is how much someone's going to sell stuff for. So, which kind of, I would say that it lead to, I'll follow up with that maybe at some point. I mean, I don't want to start talking about, my collection's worth this much. I don't know how much it's worth. It's really only worth as much as it is to you and what someone might pay for it. But it's a good place to sort of buy and sell stuff too. I mentioned lala.com back few weeks ago in a video. It's similar, but it's more organized. It's like not an eBay, but it's just some marketplace. It's like Amazon Marketplace, but it's really also a good place to see how many things there are. So one format that I don't know if they have too much of, but there were limited, and I worked at Best Buy back in the 90s. Tons of memories from that. I was only there for a couple of years, but that was right when Minidiscs were becoming a cult format, even to the point where they might have been a way to replace cassette tapes. Burn CDs, and CD was the primary standard, industry standard, and people were burning CDs with their computers, and then they could get CD burners or CD writers too. So that was kind of the competition, and ultimately CD-Rs won out. Although not that many people even use those now, or DVD-Rs, the writers and stuff like that, the readers and the writers. But when I worked in the home audio department at Best Buy, I was one of the people that would sell the Minidisc players, Minidisc recorders. And I have one pre-recorded Minidisc. You can see Pink Floyd's Animals. Here's the booklet. I don't know how much on Discogs. I'm sure it probably is on Discogs. The other day I was actually looking for some stuff to see like what lists, like what other albums. I know it was like Warner Brothers and like Sony labels. The Minidisc was Sony's primary. I mean, they weren't the only company that made it, but I think they maybe were the first manufacturer of Minidiscs. Actually, they might have been the only one that did it. I don't know. But it was Sony, so Sony labels, the record labels they had. So Warner Brothers was, or Columbia actually, was, you know, what Animals was released on, so they had the rights to it, so they released Animals. I don't know if the whole Pink Floyd catalog came out on Minidisc. Probably a lot of it did, but of course Animals being my favorite Pink Floyd album, many people's favorite Pink Floyd album, but a lot of those people probably don't have the pre-recorded Minidisc. So what I was gonna do here is I've got a book here. They had the Case Logic Minidisc book, and you know I've got a lot of stuff on here that are just recordings I made of different things. Like I said, it was sort of going to replace. Minidisc was supposed to replace, or the hope was it would be an alternative to cassette tapes, a digital version of cassette tapes, if you will. It was more portable, smaller. It was digital. You could put track titles and stuff like that on it, on the actual player. And so I have a lot of blank recordings of stuff. I'm not going to talk about all of it, but so yeah, here's my Minidisc. I had a component that came with that. Maybe I'll show it at a later time. My whole home theater and stereo system. But here's the portable one, which not only played them, but actually has a record function right there. And I left it downstairs, unfortunately. I have a little microphone that I'd put in here that I record stuff. But then I'd record stuff when I did radio at KFAI. They had a Minidisc player and recorder, so I could record the radio shows there. So, as you can see, it's got a lot of functions on it. I mean, this is from 1997 or 98. You put the discs in, you know. Let's see if I can show how it reads. I guess I could put Animals in here just to show what it looks like. Well, these are labels, and this one's a little damaged, unfortunately, but it's one of my radio shows. What I want to actually do is I want to see if I can transfer these radio shows and some of these recordings to files and then maybe upload it onto like archive.org, depending on what it is. So yeah, you can see Pink Floyd, Animals, and it's like got the track list, Pigs on the Wing. Fortunately, I don't have, plus, you know, YouTube, whatever, but I don't have speakers right now. I could, you know, primarily it's used with headphones, and it would show up on here too, actually. It's kind of a neat deal. So, I know there was a bundle where you'd get this, and you'd get the component, which I have down in my basement, maybe downstairs. It was like for $300, and you get some blank Minidiscs and everything. So, anyway, what I thought I would do is at least talk about a little about some of the recordings I made of live performances that I have. Like, just, you know, I brought it in and they didn't really care. So I have Chick Corea at the Dakota in St. Paul, December of 2000. It's one of my concerts. That was a great show. The first time I ever saw Chick Corea. The late Chick Corea, sadly, rest in peace. Let's see here. I've got local band called Grace Point, who are like sort of a prog metal band with influenced by Cynic and you name the prog metal, but at a place called Ryan's, which wasn't around. I mean, my handwriting's not the best. I was thinking about writing out a list. Greg Howard. I don't remember Greg Howard. Greg Howard's a Chapman stick player. This might be the show that I saw him at. With Porcupine Tree in Milwaukee. I'm not sure. It's either that show or maybe the show that was here at the Women's Club Theater with Tim Reynolds. I don't remember. Yo-Yo Ma. That's right. I saw Yo-Yo Ma with my cousin at the Orpheum, I think, or not the Orpheum, the Ordway in St. Paul. I think that's what this is. The cello player. Let's see here. Is this typo negative? Yeah, at the Quest Club. The late Peter Steele. Back in November of 2000. I dated it. I mean, again, this is not very... Yeah, this must be the Tim Reynolds performance. So it's probably Greg Howard and Tim Reynolds. I switched Minidiscs. That was in 2001 or 2002. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Another one at the Dakota, Eats Meets Jazz, which was a combination of like Steve Smith was the drummer, Victor Bailey who played with Weather Report, and I think Zakir Hussain, the tabla and djembe player who played with John McLaughlin, Shakti, and everything like that. And I can't remember who else was in this group, but this was I think this was Eats Meets Jazz, early 2000s, when I was using the Minidisc player a lot. My James Bickers discussion, which I talked about previously, and this is the whole thing. And it also has, I think, some of 0 Hour's performance at Prague Power USA, the first Prague Power. I have Transatlantic at Nearfest right here. Happy the Man, a bunch of Nearfest stuff. You know, I was doing some recording for my radio show. I was like, well, why don't I just take some samples from the show? They didn't care. These aren't high quality recordings. You know, a lot of this stuff was released on Studio M Live. And Bill Bruford at the Dakota, I get another one. Bill Bruford. Some of this might have been stuff I got from other people as well. But yeah, I saw Bill Bruford. I think this is the only time I saw Bill Bruford. He was doing a lot of the Earthwork stuff. I don't think he played any Crimson or Yes. I can't remember. Probably some of his solo stuff. But so I think this is the show I went to the casino. Yep, in Hinckley when I saw Dream Theater, Deep Purple, and Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. Deep Purple was with John Lord, and it was all three, Emerson, Lake, and Palmer, so it was kind of a big deal. And this was been in 1998. This is one of the first shows I ever recorded. This is outdoors at the Grand Casino in Hinckley, Minnesota, up north. So yeah, it was a bunch of, you know, these only fit so much time, so, but yeah, this is that was a really cool triple bill. Although I have to admit though, the Deep Purple album they released, I bought Abandon at the time. I don't really think it's that great, but they played like some stuff I enjoyed. They played a lot of stuff from Machine Head, and I know they played Perfect Strangers, which I have a friend who doesn't like Perfect Strangers, but I still happen to like that song from the 80s. So yeah, Dream Theater's set was like 45 minutes. When Derek Sherinian was the keyboard player, they were supporting, I don't know if it was a point that Once in a Lifetime had come on, I think before that, so they were supporting Falling into Infinity at that point in 98. It was the summer, it was like July of 98 or 90, I think it was July or August of 98. In fact, it was probably not that long after I got that Minidisc player. So this is King's X at the Quest Club, August 13th or 15th, 2000. I remember that show. There was a guy who had a 2112 shirt on that said something else. And then Podunk, I think, was the opener. Then I have a couple other King's X shows. One at the Medina Ballroom, and then this is with the Galactic Cowboys. I don't know if it's both or some of it. I know I didn't get the whole thing. I would try to, but part of the problem I found with trying to do that stuff is, people film on their phones and stuff at shows, and it deters and distracts and hurts your actual enjoyment of the concert you paid money to see, you've been wanting to see. So I just kind of abandoned doing that. You have the memories. If people will film it, then you can look online. They can do that. I'd rather just enjoy the show after trying to tape shows and stuff for a few years. But I do have a Dream Theater at the Quest Club also. I think I tried listening to this, and the quality didn't come out well, because I have that, and so I have like 3 or 4 Dream Theater. I have the State Theater Dream Theater. So the Quest Club was probably August 12th, 2000. And this would have been February 2000 with the Dream Theater at the State Theater. The first time they played at the State Theater, I think it was this show. One of these shows I tried listening to, and it was just clipping left and right. I'd have to get it, I have to tweak the audio. Someone could fix it, because it's not far from unlistenable, unfortunately. The other thing about the show, the Quest Club show, I remember specifically, is that I regret now to an extent. A cousin of mine was like, I don't know if it was her wedding. I think it was her wedding. I didn't go to her wedding in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, this cousin of mine, I hadn't seen, and since then, or before that even, like the late 90s. It was basically the same age as myself, and she passed away this past year. So, I don't know, this memory, I think I always will associate this basically feeling like, no, I don't want to miss, I already bought tickets to the show, I don't want to miss Dream Theater at the Quest, but I didn't go to her. I think it was her wedding. Might have been just something else, but I have a Mike Portnoy clinic here, and I actually put on my KFA, my radio demo, but he did multiple clinics, drum clinics in Twin Cities in the early 2000s I went to. I got this, and then I have him signing this one. So I'm not sure. One of these might be from... He did one at not Mars Music, at Guitar Center. That was the first one I saw. But then he did another one at like a high school. And I'm thinking that this is the one from the high school, and this is the one... Because I didn't meet him at the one at the high school. He did like the same kind of stuff, though. But this is the one he signed. I got to meet him at. That was at, I think, in Roseville at the Guitar Center. So, but yeah, he does like a medley where he references U2 and Twisted Sister and Simple Minds and some other people. And I remember it because I had been listening to it. And it's like, well, I saw the same thing. It was still cool to see him do more than one clinic because he doesn't do clinics anymore. So yeah, I guess I don't know how much more among my mini disc recordings I want to talk about, but you know, these some of these, especially the radio shows I did, I do want to try mastering. I did put all these in order going back from when I first started at KFAI. This first one I think is KFAI. This was Christmas of 2000 right there. I substituted for a show called In Your Ear. And then earlier than that, 2000 was when I started, and then it was volunteering till about 2003. But it's not all of them, because I have a lot of them on cassette tape too. But there's probably about 15 radio shows, and my friends and I would be on the air. We would babble on and banter, but we did tell some funny stories, and maybe some of it's sort of inner, you know, I don't know. But we would comment on music. We talked about Nearfest and the festivals in these a lot of times. So did some interviews. I have a Jordan Ruse interview that I did for KFEI that's in here or on one of the other ones. So I might put these up on archive.org at some point. So I don't know about YouTube because there's music on it for copyright reasons, but I could put them up on at least on archive.org. So, but that's it for my mini disc story to an extent. Someday I'll have to probably try showing my whole home theater and all my components. If someday I just get rid of it because I can't use it with my neighbors and stuff. But thank you for watching. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.